Welcome back to Inside City Hall. The Occupy Wall Street demonstrations are entering their second month, and while the protests have picked up support from a number of politicians and prominent organizations, the movement itself remains without formal leadership or a set of specific demands. So, can the Occupy Wall Street movement become a political movement that's effective without leaders or unified goals? Here to give us their thoughts on that topic and more are the four members of our Consultants Corner. We've got Republicans Susan Del Percio and Tom Doherty, and Democrats Patrick Jenkins and Steve Sigmund. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
And we asked you to grade the effectiveness of the Occupy Wall Street movement, and perhaps to give a couple of pointers for those who aren't getting top grades, or giving out top grades. Let's start with you, Susan.
Well, I gave them a B, mostly because they've been there over a month, and they have stayed unified for that long, and they are having a bigger effect. They certainly have the attention of politicians and the media across around the world. So that definitely goes in their favor. One of the things they're going to have to be careful of is not to be, quote, co-opted. I mean, you see union leaders, you see politicians trying to tap into whatever it is. And I know it's been compared a lot to the Tea Party movement, but in this regard, 2 years ago, you would be hard found to find a person from the Tea Party movement who would say, I'm a Tea Party movement leader from Staten Island, let's say. Everyone say, no, we're just a movement, da, da, da. And let's see what happens now with the Occupy Wall Street folks.
Okay, we shall see. Patrick Jenkins, your grade and recommendation.
I gave them an A because we're talking about them. And the fact of the matter is, everyone knows what the baseline argument is. Income inequality is too great in this country, in this city, in this country, and something needs to be done about it. Now, there are a whole host of other issues, but I think that it's great that they don't have one specific leader because, as Susan said, movements tend to be co-opted and take on the viewpoint of that one specific leader and may not maintain its truth. But I think around the country, you're seeing this rising up everywhere, and the social networks are all on top of it. So I think that the main message is there, that people want jobs and inequality is too great. Income inequality is too great in this country. So I gave them an A for being there, and I think they're going to be there for a while.
Okay. Tom Doherty.
A D, for only one reason, is that they have no message. I mean, I talk to people every day who go, what are they doing there? Why are they there? I think organizationally, it's phenomenal. I think protesting is part of what this country is all about. So if we're going to grade them just on getting together and staying together, they get an A. But since they have no message, I got to give them a D until they get a message because it's about effectiveness. They're not affecting any change right now. So if the elections come around next year and somehow they've effectuated change, they could get an A+, but right now it's a D.
Okay. Steve Sigmund, your grade.
I give them a B, largely for the same reasons that Susan did, but I think actually they do have a message that's fairly clear, and they've captured a sense of unfairness between the wealthiest and the rest of the nation. But they need to figure out what they stand for. I mean, I think organizations like the Tea Party, for example, have made a mistake by just being against things for the last 2 years, and you started to see that in the polling and then the sort of increasing marginalization of the Tea Party. The Occupy Wall Street movement, I actually think they could use to be co-opted by some folks who are good organizers for them and give them some structure for suggesting what they ought to be for and for when to get out. When to stop the occupation before it sort of falls apart on its own, so they're not just sort of forced out by the weather, and so they have an ongoing structure in place.
I tell you, I saw some of those tarps and the way some folks are bundled up. I would not bet on weather in this age of global warming. It could be quite a while before it gets really bad.
Or their movement can move to Florida. I mean, that's okay.
Well, that's true. Occupy Miami.
Well, they have it in Tampa.
Some of their
signs,
some of the signs say that we should be more like Venezuela. They should all go down to Venezuela if it's such a great place. I mean, quite frankly, I don't want America to be like Venezuela. So
don't you think at some point someone's going to pull out a bunch of voter registration cards and pass them out down there, and that would really make
I wouldn't want to bet on what the reaction to something like that would be. I'll tell you, there's a high level of suspicion, I have to say.
Sure.
It's much higher than it was a few weeks ago. I mean, I've been going down for one reason or another every couple of days, and they're a little bit on edge now, I think, because of that, maybe that aborted effort to try and clear them out.
Right.
Let's talk about the Republican presidential nomination. They've got yet another debate tomorrow. Everyone's going to try and game, I guess Rick Perry's the one to watch, but also Herman Cain. What explains the rise of Herman Cain? People act as if he's a protest vote. I take voters more seriously than that. I assume that people either like 999 or they like something else.
Well, they like the simplicity of it, and that's part of the problem, frankly, is that it is so simple, and the fact that it also doesn't add up, but that's a separate part. But I think people are relating to a simple message. And they do want something different. And the fact is they didn't get it with Rick Perry. I mean, you could talk about Michelle Bachmann and Rick Perry. Other people have toyed around with entering, but he's been there since the beginning. And I don't think in the end he's going to be in front-runner status. As a matter of fact, I think they're going to be gunning for him to say, welcome to primetime, Mr. Kaine.
And poor old Mitt Romney, who's getting better and better in these debates as far as I can tell.
You know that Mitt Romney, at the end of the day, will most likely be the nominee, and now it's just Herman Cain's turn. And as he knows that it's his turn for his 15 minutes, he's taken every opportunity to say some of the most ludicrous, inflammatory things, as well as something pretty interesting in the 999 situation. So it's just his turn. Michelle Bachmann had her turn. Rick Perry had his turn. It's his turn. His time will fizzle out, and someone else will rise up. And Mitt Romney doesn't want to be number one ever until it's time to be number one.
It is amazing, though, that the Republicans just seem to sort of be lurching around looking for somebody other than Mitt Romney throughout this. I mean, Mitt Romney is the candidate who's polled the best against Obama over and over again, and yet the Republicans sort of lurch from Bachmann to Perry to now Herman Cain, and sort of increasingly ludicrous right-wing candidates to, next will be Genghis Khan, because Romney seems like they are interpreting him to be fraudulent, and given his flip-flops on positions, I don't think the Republicans are wrong about their own candidate.
Listen, the best thing for Mitt Romney now is to just be hanging out as he is. He's building up a good reputation. The establishment, like Chris Christie, has endorsed him, and he's going to start picking up more endorsements like that. And at the end of the day, when you see a Herman Cain, today's Rasmussen, beating President Obama 43-41, it says everything about Obama. The only mistake the Republicans can make in this election, I've said this for months, is nominating someone who doesn't pass the smell test. Romney passes the smell test. He will be the nominee. He will pick somebody like Rubio. The Tea Party loves a Rubio. It'll balance that ticket out very nicely. And if we nominate Mitt Romney, he'll be the next president of the United States.
Okay, a flat-out prediction. The last thing I expected. We'll leave on that note, and we'll hold you to that. We keep our videotape. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again real soon. It's time for a break. I'll be back in a minute with a preview of tomorrow night's program. Stay with us.